السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. نطلب من رب العالمين الحضور اللي قدامنا شؤون فلسطين بحضور مجلس مثل هذه الجلسة. أنا فتحية خليفة. إن شاء الله الاجتماع هذا يكون لما تتحرر فلسطين تزوروا فلسطين بلدكم فلسطين. وأهلا وسهلا فيكم.
God willing, when Palestine is liberated, we can have this gathering there, and I hope you consider it your home as well.
أنا فتحية خليفة. أنا طلعت من فلسطين لما قتل أبوي بقضاء تل أبيب عمري 10 سنين.
My name is Fathaya. I left Palestine when I was 10 years old when my father was killed in an attack outside of Tel Aviv.
هون لما قتل أبوي هناك النسوان ما بيعرفوا يشتغلوا كنا صغار. إمي تختار بطل في طحين صار يخلطوا الطحين بالشعير. تعجن إمي يفتفتوا عيش بالمرة. لما إجت بريطانيا عملت أسلاك شاكة بيننا وبين اليهود. دبابات جنب بيتنا كنا معمرين بسلمة في منطقة اسمها شبيرة اليهود. منطقة شبيرة احنا معمرين جنبه البلية الصغيرة. نلعب سوا احنا وياهم ما في شيء زي اليوم لنا.
When after my father was killed, it was only women, and they weren't exactly sure what to do because they didn't have someone to work the fields. So they would mix the flour with shushki. And they would shade is
like seeds.
Seeds, yeah, they would mix the flour with seeds, almost. And there was the British put a barbed wire fence separating the Arabs from the Jews and Palestinians from the Jews, which she's saying was, a very ridiculous concept to them because they used to play together as children and there was never any problem.
وين في ضرب نهرب من بيت لبيت، وين في أمان نهرب من بيت لبيت، ما ضل حياتنا حية. بعدين بعد بريطانيا لما سلمتنا، بريطانيا اللي سلمت إسرائيل، وهذول المنطقة اللي عم بفلسطين في شيء، إحنا اليهود والعرب سوا كلنا والله.
There were tanks outside of her home, and so they would flee from house to house whenever there were any attacks or violence. She's saying the British are the ones that gave up Palestine.
أبوي سكر دكانته ماشي هو اثنين. إجت التضييق عليه وهو صاحبه اللي سكر دكانه جنبه قتل. ما شفنا دفنوا جدي وعمومتي وما شفنا. قامت الثورة كترة. إذا كان المرأة بدها تهرب من بيت لبيت حملت المخدة حسبته لها. إجت وين رجعت لتجيب لنا لا تضيعين كذا.
My father went to close his dukkan in his store and he was killed by 2 men. When the women went to flee from the house, she grabbed the pillow thinking that it was her baby. Until after they left, she realized that the pillow in her arms wasn't her child.
لما اشتد الضرب بعثت لنا الدول العربية باخرة اللي بده يهرب على لبنان اللي بده مناطق مواقف. احنا اجت طلعتنا على لبنان لانه امي ارملت وخبرنا ان اتقتل اخوي ابن اولاد اخوي الرجل. امي خافت علينا سبها يخرجنا ما صدقت تجي الباخره تسقط تيجي على لبنان.
They sent the Arab nations sent ships to the coast. She's from Jaffa, sorry, I failed to mention that. So when they sent ships, they started going on the ships either up to Lebanon or south to Egypt. And her mother's family was actually worried after her father had been killed that her father's side of the family would take the children because they were Armenian, they wanted to raise them. But so her mother got on the first ship to flee and they came to Lebanon.
اللي حامل برجة بيطلع الباخرة ويزتوها قال لها بتصير تقول بتغرق فينا. حامل طنجرة وغراب يزتوه بالبحر بس نفسه أحسن تغرق فينا الباخرة في العالم معرضة. اجت الباخرة رصت فينا مرن خايل في كانت المينا هناك كارنتينا.
Anytime people got on,
كبيرة كانت.
anytime people got onto the boat with anything, pots, pans, goods from their homes, other people on the boat would tell them to toss it overboard so that the boat would be lighter. And then so when they came to the Mina Karantina, which is the pier in Karantina here in Lebanon, I'm not sure where that is, they didn't have anything with them because they had tossed everything over the boat already, so they were just them and whatever clothes they had.
احنا جايين بالباخرة اتفرج على السنة في الساعة في الوضع نفهمش نخافش نتفرج دخلت حطونا بالأوضة بين ترستي على المينا الباخرة. في ايه لقيت حالي بالمستشفى دي وين ماما تستبكي الناس تقول لي حبيبتي هلا تيجي ماما. إن دورت أكثر مستشفى إنه ما بتعرف لبنان يا لا. بعد ما قعدنا بالكارنتينا شي شهر.
When we were on the boat, I looked around and I saw all the fish and I was all excited, because children aren't afraid of death yet. And I got dizzy, I got seasick, and I passed out. And I woke up and I found myself in a hospital, and I got scared and I started calling for my mother, Mama, Mama, and I was crying. And the nurse told me, "Don't worry, your mother will find your mother will come to you." And her mother, of course, didn't know Lebanon or Beirut. And so she went from hospital to hospital looking for her until she found her. The buses came and took them to Saida. They put a lot of the families in homes and camps, but because her mother was a widow, there was an old sort of French castle ruins that they placed them in.
أنا لحتى نعيش مش حدا يصير. أخوي لاحظ مرض القلب وجبرت ما أروحش على المدرسة ما كنتش عندي. وجبرت أشتغل كان في شهادة للتوليد دكتور السويدان مسكين اللغة الإنجليزية مسكين الجامعة الألمانية مثلي بعد المخ.
We didn't really have anyone taking care of us. My brother was studying and working, and so I was forced to also work.
صرت أشتغل أنا بالمستشفى أحط فول النفساء بعمل المعاش وحتى إني تعمل هذا الوقت.
She would work making food for the nurses until their mother had enough money to make food for them.
بس عملوا الأصل القرآني للأرامل ممنوع يفوت عليهم الرجال، قعدوا الأرامل بالأصل، عملوا مواقع كمان بالنسوان يعني الولاد، بس الرجال مع الرجال شواذ.
They didn't want the widows to be living with the gentlemen, with the men, so they made a separate home area for the widows.
بعد ما رحنا على اليومية نزلنا رحنا على تل الزعتر، عدنا ودونا عدنا استأجرنا رحنا على تل الزعتر.
Afterwards, when we had saved up enough money and gotten out of the area, we rented and moved to Fathaya.
جوزي فتح معمل شوكولاتة في الزعتر البيت مش عندي مخيم يقول لها تضيع بالدنيا.
Her husband, she got married, her husband opened a little chocolate shop, not directly in Fathaya, but a little bit outside.
وصار القصف علينا بالزعتر وصار من البنايات اللبنانية مدى فلسطين كلهم المخيم هربوا على البنايات مش
And then Fathaya was bombed and bombed and bombed, and there were no really Lebanese or Palestinian buildings left in that area, so we fled outside.
قطعوا المي علينا بدنا مي نشرب ما في.
They cut the water off from us.
يروح في مفقودة أسطر يروح 4-5 يعبوا مفكلا للشرب الغسيل يلبسوا من الوقت
People were
يروح 10 يرجع 5 تيجي قضية عليه.
people were fighting over being able to fill up.
قريب على البس.
People were fighting to fill up even a gallon for 4 or 5 people over a gallon of water. But the area where they would get the water was near where the bombing was. So people would go and would be killed. And so people weren't able to leave. And definitely there was no drinking water, but there was no water to wash clothes. People were throwing clothes away and off of them after they were being used.
قلنا ايش؟ هو صار يشتغل ويجمع لينزل، بطل ينزل لكنه عارف حاله بده يتجوز، كله عمه كله شوكولاته كله بندق كله جوز لكنه عارف بده ينزل، قولي سلمنا نزلنا عند الكويت تسمع موجودة سلمنا ماشيين النسوان يصفوا بالدور عشان يروحوا والرجال ياخذوها.
It's as if my husband knew that he was going to die. He kept feeding the children and the rest of us the chocolate. Just eat. Because he would make the chocolate and wouldn't have enough time to get it all out of the store to sell it from all of the bombing.
لما نزلنا عند الكويت نشوف العالم نزلوا وعرفوهم بالذكاء الشرفي شوفوا الميتين شو العالم بندورة جبلية هيك صار قال لي يا فتحي روح جيبوا لي بندورة وخرج قلت له لا ده بزار القصر نازل هلا اموت انت بتقدر تروح لا ما بديش قتلوه نفسه بالبندورة دي قتلوه وين؟ على المكتب حطوه بالبنزين جنب المحكمة.
They saw someone selling bread and tomatoes on the way, and he wanted bread and tomatoes. He wanted her to go get bread and tomatoes, and she said, there's bombing, if I get killed, will you be able to raise your kids? And so she didn't go, and he died. He was killed in the bombing, and he died wanting bread and tomatoes.
لهلا بس اشوف انا دورة جبلية ببكي بدي اشتري بدي اكل عن راحة يعني الاسد كثير حسينا كثير. بعدين لما نزلنا اخذوا قلت له كان في واحد بعرفه مكان ابو غزي معه قال لي اجى عبور بالسيارات الفلسطيني يشوف لحال الاردني لحال اللبناني لحال جوزي بقول له 25 سنة كان يشتغل عندي نعمل إيراني سوري وبيحكي سوري جوزي من خوفه صف مع فلسطيني قال لي الفلسطيني عبور.
She's saying that till this day, when she sees jebedi, like tomatoes from the mountains, the kind of mountains that she saw that day, she thinks of him and she prays for his soul. And then what had happened was they came and separated everyone into different cars. They put the Lebanese in a car, the Palestinians in a car, Jordanians in a car, etc. Her husband spoke perfect Syrian and could have passed for a Syrian, but from fear got into the car with the Palestinians, and of course they were all killed.
هاي الشكل ربيته نزل أصغر ولد 3 سنين اشتغلت على الشيء واشتغلت وقمت حطيت رجلي الحمد لله العطر على اللي راح العطر على اللي شفناه لسه الله يستر. شكرا على الحضور ان شاء الله نشوفكم فلسطين يا رب زورونا هناك بلدكم الثاني.
This is our life and this is what we've lived, and I've raised my children and I've done my best, and the real shame is for the people that have passed and what has already happened, and God only knows what's still coming. Thank you for being here, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you in a free Palestine, and we hope that it will be your home as well.